Hello everyone and welcome to part 22 of my Milwaukee Bucks MyGM on the Xbox One here on Klein92 TV, and it is playoff time. I am so excited for the playoffs. We are the second seeded team in the Eastern Conference, and in the first round we will be playing the 7th seeded Orlando Magic, who actually have a pretty decent roster. In case you guys don't know how I work the playoffs on my channel, I basically allow myself to play only 2 games per round. That way the success of our team in the playoffs is more dependent on how good we actually are rather than how I play against teams. Anyways, we go 3-2 in the first 5 games. We need to win this game to move on to the next round. I will see you guys down at the court.
Big Will in the building.
We are in Orlando for this first round playoff matchup up against the Magic, and this Magic roster is very different from the one that you may be used to. Starting off, they do not have Jameer Nelson at point guard. Now they have Dante Exum at point guard. Shooting guard is still Victor Oladipo, but then they are running some small ball with their 3-4. At the 3 they have Tobias Harris, and at the 4 they have Granger, and there are some ups and downs to having such a small lineup. Some positives that come from running a small lineup is that you really get to stretch the floor, and your 4 is way faster than the 4 on the other team, especially since we have Zebo playing up against Granger. The second the Magic got the ball on defense, Granger was running to the other end of the court, and Zebo could just not keep up with him. But there are also some drawbacks from the Magic's lineup. We were able to pound the ball inside literally the entire game, and they could just not stop us because the guys they had down low were just not as big enough and not as strong as the guys on our team. And you can see that the Magic started off this game hot. They already have a 5-point lead on us, and they have 20 points in the first quarter, and this play was the turnaround point in the game. You saw Darren Williams went up for a shot. He landed on his ankle funny and got hurt on the play. If you guys remember last year, Paul Gasol got hurt during the playoffs and he missed a couple weeks and missed I think around 2 rounds, and I am hoping that his injury is not too severe, but there you go. He has a severe ankle sprain and he will be out for 2 to 4 weeks, and even when he does come back, he's still going to be hurting and he won't be fully recovered for probably around 6 weeks. That means that Darren Williams will be playing in the Eastern Conference Finals if we can make it there, but he won't be fully recovered until the NBA Finals, assuming we can actually get that far without him. So approaching the end of the first quarter, we have a 4-point lead on the Magic, but just like that, they're making it 3 and making it a 1-point lead going into the second quarter. If you guys remember my last episode of this series, I was talking about NBA2k14 and what it can do to improve in NBA2k15. Last episode, I focused on the My Player and the MyGM modes, and I talked about what those modes can do to get better. In this episode, I want to talk about my team as well as the gameplay just as a whole in this game. So my team this year on the next gen console was a little bit different than it was on the current gen one, and I feel like on next gen it was better, and that is because in the current gen version of this game, my team I thought was a little bit too easy, and that is because it was just a little too easy to get star players. You were able to go to the market and buy any any specific players that you wanted. That meant if you wanted to have a dominant team in my team, you didn't really have to be good at the game mode, you just had to play the game mode a lot. Luckily, in the next gen version of the game, they had this whole pack system, but there is an issue with packs, and that is that you can just keep pulling the same pack until you get the player that you want. For example, let's say I'm a huge LeBron James fan, which I kinda am. What I could do then is just keep pulling Miami Heat packs until I pull a LeBron James, which is kinda cheap, because then when you play against people online, everybody seems to have amazing teams with Dr. Dre and LeBron and Kobe. Everybody seems to have these stacked teams, so when you see a stacked team, you don't think, oh man, I could lose this. You see it as you see every other team in the game, because everybody has a stacked lineup. What they need to do to improve this is kinda do what Madden did, and I think the solution to this problem, in my opinion, is to just have one pack available to people, and there's always one or two players in that pack, and these players can be random. That way when 2K sets up my team, they can say, hey, we're only gonna have 10 LeBron James, only 10 people will have LeBron James. That way when you play against a team with LeBron, it will be a big deal. It won't be an everyday kind of team. They also need to create some kind of marketplace as well as an auction block, just because the whole My Team feature feels a little bit isolated, where I can't really communicate with other players of NBA 2K. The only real connective feature in this game mode is when you play against people online, but I want to be able to trade with them and make auctions with them. That would just be something that would take the whole game mode to another level, and I can honestly say that if these changes are made, I feel that the My Team mode in NBA 2K will probably be the most popular mode, and I think it will be able to compete with games such as FIFA and Madden. The final thing that I want to discuss that needs to be improved in NBA 2k15 is the gameplay. Now, don't get me wrong, the gameplay in NBA 2k14 is insanely good. It's such a fun game to play, but of course, it's not a perfect game, and there are changes that need to be made. The main changes that need to be made in terms of gameplay all have to do with animations, and I have 4 types of animations written down that I want to discuss. The first are blocks. In NBA 2k14, it was a huge deal that you were finally able to block dunks, and I was really happy that they added that feature, but by adding that feature, they accidentally messed something up in the game where blocking layups and dunks and shots are just too easy at this point. I remember in past versions of NBA 2k14 where when you got a chase down block or something like that, it was a huge deal, but in this year's version of the game, getting a chase down block or blocking a 3-point shot is just not a big deal anymore because it's so common in the gameplay. The next animation that they need to fix is taking charges. You guys have all seen it. I've done it so many times before, and if you have this game, you have probably done it as well too, but in this game it is way too easy to take charges. If you want to, you can take a charge at half court, and that's just something that does not happen in real life. The player that you are controlling should only be able to take charges in the paint because that is the only time where you really see charges in real life. The last animation that I want to discuss is the post drive. If you guys have played this game, you know it is so easy to abuse the post drive. All you do really is go in the post on a player and then move your right stick towards the basketball hoop, and 9 times out of 10 your player will get by the defender and it will result either in an easy layup or a dunk, and when neither of those things happens, your player will normally get fouled. This animation needs to be taken away because people online constantly abuse it. The last part of the gameplay that needs to be changed are injuries. The only time your player ever gets injured is when they're shooting a shot and they land funny and they always get hurt, and sometimes they'll shoot a shot, land funny, and get a concussion or something like that. 2K needs to increase the ways that your player can get hurt. That way we're not seeing the same animation for every single type of injury. If they don't do that, then they're better off just keeping out the injury animations as a whole, and they also need to limit the amount of times that your players get injured during the simulation, because in basketball there aren't as many injuries as there are in football, and I feel like I get more injuries in this game than I do in Madden. So that is my entire opinion on what NBA 2k15 can improve on. I hope you guys like hearing that in the last 2 episodes. Anyways, you guys can see that we walked out of Orlando with a 113-91 win over the Magic. After starting off with a pretty rough first quarter, we were able to go on a huge run at the end of the third quarter into the start of the fourth quarter. The 2 highest scoring players were Dante, Exum, and Jabari Parker. Both of those guys are second-year players coming out of the same draft class. You can see I am editing my team's rotations because Darren Williams will not be playing in the next round. I have Brandon Knight running the starting point guard, and then I have Vince Carter at the starting shooting guard. The next episode in this series will be up against the 3-seeded Detroit Pistons, who we actually played against in the first round of the playoffs last year. Anyways, I hope you guys are excited for the next round of the playoffs. I am excited to see how we're gonna fare without Darren Williams. Anyways, I hope you guys had a fun time watching this video. Be sure to have a great day. God bless you guys. Bye.